Tonight on PhillyCAM Voices, a look at the race to vaccinate Philadelphians and why some fear getting the shot. Plus, how Cape Mobile Response Unit is administering COVID tests in the city. And the owner of a South Philadelphia restaurant talks about reopening after the city eases COVID-19 restrictions on indoor dining. Good evening. Thank you for tuning in to PhillyCAM Voices. I'm your host, Amanda Johnson. The Cape Mobile Response Unit has made several stops in Philadelphia to administer COVID-19 tests. But as Chantel Belafonte explains, the team is also excited about residents.
The Cape Mobile Response Unit returned once again to Philadelphia to provide free COVID testing to all Philadelphians. The walk-up event took place outside of State Representative Danilo Burgess' office, located at 635 West Erie Avenue. Latino Connection partnered with the state rep, the Independence Blue Cross Foundation, and Children's Hospital of Philadelphia to test those who believed they were exposed to someone with COVID and educate them on how to stay safe. Jean Cubillet, program manager and lead for the Cape Mobile event, assisted with organizing and registering people for free COVID-19 testing. Cubillet has been to Philly 17 times to test residents.
Testing is lacking all over, so just the fact that we're in somebody's community, being able to test them, no questions asked, is what we really wish to measure and goal.
Cubillet said symptoms were not a factor in getting tested. Kate's goal was to get 100 people tested.
We've had a good flow. We've been here since 1. We started testing at 1 and we're over at 5. So hopefully we at least get 100 today.
Domingo Negron got tested at the Cape Mobile site because he was unsure if he had COVID. Negron said he wears a mask to protect other people.
Because you can get a spray the COVID or whatever you have.
In order to avoid getting COVID, Cubillet recommends everyone to wear a mask, stay 6 feet apart when possible, and avoid large gatherings. Dr. Thomas Farley warned viewers during the virtual House delegation town hall meeting that vaccines are limited.
There is a very limited number of doses that of these 2 vaccines that are being produced on a weekly basis and distributed on a weekly basis through the federal government to states and a few big cities, including Philadelphia. And we get the same amount on a per capita basis as every other jurisdiction in the country. But that same amount is not nearly enough.
Raynette Dolman stood in line with other residents to get tested. COVID hit home for Dolman, who lost a grandmother to the deadly virus.
My grandma just recently died from COVID, so I take it very more serious than anything now. At first, I didn't take it serious, but I see, losing a loved one, it makes me take it more serious.
Although Dolman is getting tested, Dolman is not comfortable taking the vaccine. According to a Pew Research, 40% of people say that they will not get the vaccine. Half of that number say they will get the vaccine after majority of people get vaccinated, and more information is released about the vaccine.
Keep yourself informed. It's okay to have doubts. I think that's just part of being human. But the best way to know is to inform yourself. It's coming along. I think the best way for you to kind of feel secure about the vaccine is to inform yourself.
The Cape Mobile Response Unit has tested over 300 Philadelphia residents for free, providing security for many Philadelphians on their status of COVID-19. Those who received free testing will receive the results in 2 to 5 days. Anyone interested in receiving services should visit www.capemobileunit.com for more information about upcoming events. I'm Chantel Belafonte, reporting for PhillyCAM Voices.
The Mai Tai restaurant on South Street is finally back open after the city of Philadelphia eases COVID-19 restrictions on indoor dining. Restaurants can only operate with 50% capacity. Masks must still be worn, social distancing must be maintained, and there can only be 4 people at a table from the same household. DeRay Edmonds talked to the owner about the road to recovery.
We have the opportunity to open for the indoor dining. We have to be strict about the mask, okay, face shield, gel, alcohol, and I have an extra item. If you look over there, we have the ozone generator that we use, and that would help, cleanse the whole area rather than rub on, wipe on, or spray it on, because this ozone generator will go into all the nook and crannies of this whole room.
We've been coping okay. Through the generosity of our customers, we are able to survive. Will I say amazing? No. But the fact that we are still open and still surviving, we're very, very grateful.
We've been here for over 30 years. For me, 30 years seem to go by ever so quick. This brick wall we have for years and years, I love it. Every time I look at it, I say, okay, this is the path that we can look at. And then when you turn to the other 3 sides of this room, you can look outside and you can see the change from year to year to year. And now, 30-some years later, I'm still here with my Thai and with most of our loyal neighbor customer. When orders come in, yeah, I get tired. But when they come out and we see customer, they're eating, they enjoy our food, that's all I need. I'm thankful to all the Philadelphians, and I would like to thank all the staff that I love so dear, and I think of them as my own family all the time. Well, I think I still have quite a bit of fire inside of me, and I'm ready to cook some more. Thank you.
2020 is over, but despite a new administration, the new year has gotten off to a rocky start. To talk about the new year, the challenges, we are going to have Dennis Link, and we will be joined later by Vincent Thompson. Dennis Link is the voice reporter of WPPM Radio host, and Vincent will be joining us, and he's the principal of Thompson Media Man Communications. And he says that his opinions and his expressions are his own and has no connection with any other party. So let's get started. Are you ready?
I'm all set, Amanda. Thanks for having us on the program.
It is a pleasure. So, what do you think about the new administration and what it means for the country?
Well, I think the new administration provides a break from all the Trump era, the chaos that was going on. Hey, how you doing, Vincent?
I'm good. Welcome. I'm good. Hey, everybody.
All right.
Yeah. So Amanda had asked us, what does a new administration in Washington mean for America? And I guess I was just getting the ball rolling. I guess the thing I would say overall in general, Vincent, is just I think it establishes a sense of normalcy. Contrary to the fact that there was, through the Trump era, a lot of chaos, a lot of invective. And it's not going to go away anytime soon, at least the invective part. But I think at least given Joe Biden's history of being a longtime senator and somebody who has a track record being able to at least talk to people on the other side of the aisle, I think that's probably that characteristic will be a good start in terms of trying to tackle a lot of the big issues. Number one should be relief. Getting this relief bill passed and having something satisfactory that's going to help all Americans. Having measures in place to help the economy, and also how the COVID vaccine is going to be administered, because already things have gotten off to a slow start, and the administration of the vaccine and getting it to people, not only a lot of people, but in an equitable fashion, will be really key to the economic part of it. That I discussed, and then there's a whole bunch of foreign policy issues. Trying to rebuild relationships between the United States and other nations that I guess felt alienated by the previous administration. So those are some of the things that I think are at the forefront that Joe Biden and his administration are going to have to tackle. And then there's going to be the first order of business, unfortunately, before all those things that I mentioned, may actually be an impeachment trial in the Senate, which is going to delay all of that. So that's just where I am, Amanda, in terms of in general what I think it means for a new administration coming in, and what some of the challenges will be.
Amanda, as we say in politics, I agree with my esteemed colleague out in the other part of the city. I mean, listen, the Joe Biden administration has one big priority, and that is to end the pandemic, right? We should understand that we'll probably never get rid of COVID-19 as a society, just like we don't get rid of the flu and we don't get rid of other things. But we have to be able to get the inoculations where 70 to 80% of America is vaccinated, so that we can have some kind of normal life. And I put normal in air quotes because we don't know what normal is ever going to be again. So the Biden administration has a tough task. There is a lot of people who just aren't going to take the vaccine, right? There's people in the city of Philadelphia who aren't going to take the vaccine. There's people in other parts of the country who aren't going to take the vaccine. So I think he has to deal with that and all the other economic fallout that's impacted that. Because remember, that economic fallout just isn't happening on the federal level. It's happening on the state level, and it's happening on the city level. So as a person who's getting ready for the mayor to reveal his budget address for fiscal year 2021 in April, expect a lot of belt tightening in the city government, right? Because when hotels can't operate and tourism can't come, we lose a lot of revenue. So it's going to be tight. So if people think that we're going to have a lot of money in the city budget, don't expect that.
Okay. All right. So imagine you guys, you walk into a buffet and you have all these choices, right? But you have to pick something to put on your plate first and then second. So this is something that the Biden administration had to deal with. So let's talk about what should that plate look like, the things that they should be dealing with first. All right, Vincent.
No, the only thing on their plate is coronavirus. That's it. Like, if you don't deal with the coronavirus, you can't do anywhere. It's like the kid that doesn't want to eat Brussels sprouts. Well, the coronavirus is the Brussels sprout. You have to eat that before you can do anything else moving forward. So like I said, it's like Dennis says, even if you want to get an economic recovery, that economic recovery is helping with the impact of the country from the coronavirus. If you get more vaccinations out to people, that's dealing with the impact of the coronavirus. So the coronavirus kind of impacts everything. But one of the problems with the new administration is, and Dennis will tell you, is the Biden administration doesn't know what's going to happen, right? Like, as we speak right now, there's a coup in Myanmar, right? When Biden came into office and Kamala Harris came into office, they didn't expect there would be a coup in Myanmar. So you never know what foreign events will impact the president or domestic events will impact the president. But I can see for at least the next year and a half, everything's going to spin around coronavirus.
Yeah, and Amanda, this is where we are basically. So Joe Biden said early on, after his inauguration, that he set a goal of 100 million shots in the first 100 days of his administration. So far, there's about, roughly 17 to 18 million doses that have been administered. But only 2 million of those people have gotten their second shot.
Right.
And then there's some 20 million more doses that have been distributed, but they haven't yet been administered. And the problem is that, it's good to have at a federal level, a goal or a plan, but then, the federal, officials can't necessarily carry it out at the local level. And that's where the issue is trying to get those doses, in the hands of the local officials, and then to have a coordinated plan to in a clear, efficient, and equitable way get that out to the public. Right. Now, one of the things that we've dealt with very recently in the news is Philly's fighting COVID. And that organization, which was contracted with the city of Philadelphia to do this giant rollout at the convention center to try to make this an easier, quicker process. But, as the headlines have been telling us, that has not gone well at all. And that's, again, it's something that's sort of out of Joe Biden's hands, but it's something that, localities all across the country may have to deal with similar type things. Where in this case with Philly fighting COVID, they said they were going to do one thing, but then they started doing another. So they switched from nonprofit status to for-profit, and then they updated their privacy policy midstream to sell information, through its vaccine pre-registration website. So these are things that and again, I believe that the city is guilty of poor oversight, but it's also the first time around for Philadelphia and all these other localities in terms of doing this. So I think that, the federal effort is one thing, being able to carry it out locally is another. And I think that's going to be, one of the challenges going forward, because, again, we're talking about 100 million shots. We're only at about 17, 18 million now. We got a long way to go.
Let's tell you what's going to make it difficult here in the city of Philadelphia, right? Everybody wants a shot, right? Everybody's afraid of the coronavirus. They don't know. They people want a shot. Here's the difficulty in Philadelphia, and I'm going to keep this real for people. The vaccines, you have to take 2 shots, right? Philadelphia gets 20,000 vials a week. You have to inoculate 1.5 million people. It's simple math. If you only get 20,000 a week and you got to give 1.5 million people 2 shots, that's 3 million vaccinations. People are going to have to wait. A good example, I work in the industry, I work in government. I'm not even on the list to get one because I'm so far down the list because there are other people that need the shot. So I only ask people this. I understand the frustration. I get it. But you're just going to have to wait because of math. Okay? Now, what happened with Philly Fights COVID was wrong for the health department. It's a black eye on the health department because you were basically trusting 22, 23-year-old kids to give out vaccines. I don't know who was thinking about that. I don't know who made that mistake, but a deputy commissioner has been let go. Philly Fighting COVID did give out 7,000 vaccines. But the question is, why were they given 7,000 vaccines and the Black Doctors COVID Consortium, which is run by a board certified pediatrician, only got 2,500? And there are other hospitals that have gotten it and haven't gotten it to the people. So really, here's what's happened. Hospitals are giving it to their employees, right? City is giving it, the city vaccines are given to people who are like healthcare workers, right? Philly Fighting COVID gave it to general public, only 7,000. And then the Black Doctors have only given it to the general public. So there needs to be more coordination. If I was the health department, this is what I would do. I would take over the demand of all health shots because you're going to be darned if you do and darned if you don't. So you might as well take over the control. You might as well network with organizations that you know are legitimate. The Black Doctors Association, the Latino Doctors Association, the Asian Doctors Association, and target those communities. You know, let the Black doctors go to other parts of the city, let the Latino doctors be in parts of the city where Latinos are heavily at, because you want to have a trusted messenger giving you this information. And since we are a city of eds and meds, you've got hospitals all over. You then assign it to hospitals. And if they can do mass vaccinations at Dodger Stadium, I know we can do it in Philly. So I just think it needs to be more streamlined, more easier for people. But I'm going to warn people out there, and you're going to get mad at me. Until the city gets more than 20,000 vials, we're not going to inoculate everybody quickly. I know in some ways it's becoming a Game of Thrones where people are just trying to get the vaccine and go online, but just mass can't get you the vaccine. So I need everybody to simmer down, relax, wear a mask, stay outside, wear 2 masks, and they'll get to you eventually. But it's just simple math that, you know, we can't. Like, people are saying, well, Pittsburgh is able to do it. Pittsburgh has 300,000 people. We've got 1.5. So even if they get 20,000 vials in Pittsburgh, within a certain amount of time, they can get to everybody. But if you get 20,000 in Philly, you're not going to get to everybody in a week. It's just not going to happen. So I urge people just to calm down. We're going to figure this out.
All right, let's get to a little heavier question. Going to start with you, Dennis. Should Congress pursue the impeachment of Donald Trump?
Yes.
Okay, so I definitely know people's opinion, the majority of people's opinion in Philadelphia. But what I'm going to say is based upon, you know, and again, I'm not a constitutional lawyer, but this is based upon my reading of the Constitution. And to me, I don't see that there is a constitutional authority to impeach a private citizen, a former president. In the Constitution, it specifically talks about President of the United States in any context of impeachment. So I'm not certain that it's even a constitutional ability of Congress to go after Donald Trump now at this point. And here's the other issue that I have. It's not just about whether or not they can, but it's also about whether or not they should. So when we started our discussion, Amanda, I talked about how, you know, with impeachment, constitutionally, when there is articles of impeachment up and there is a Senate trial, constitutionally, that must take precedence over any other issue. So our sitting Congress people have no choice but to address that once it's introduced. So that's the other problem. Not can they do it, but should they do it? Because in terms of coronavirus, in terms of the economy, in terms of relief, there are so many other priorities that the United States has that I just think that the impeachment at this point is a distraction. And the last thing I'll say on this is the fact that Joe Biden, in his inauguration address, the theme was America and unity. And he talked about trying to, you know, bring the country together after a very fractured, rancorous last 4 years. I believe it would be a horrible way to get the thing started in the Biden administration to try to alienate about 74 million people who voted for Donald Trump. And whether that was a good move or not, whether you like them or not, whether you think, you know, that you can think of all kinds of things about their motivations in voting for Donald Trump. But the bottom line is, if you're looking for unity, if you're looking to create, you know, some sort of bipartisan movement towards common goals that affect us all, like the virus and the economy and so forth, that's a really bad way to start, is to go after Donald Trump when he's actually been removed by the voters at this point.
I cannot let an insurrection go by. And you know what? You know, Dennis, we know the Constitution. You know what? There's a lot of things when the Constitution was written back in the 1700s that they never anticipated. So let's just run it. Let's run the impeachment and see how it goes. If people want to argue against it, let them do it. But I can't let a president who everyone agrees his language and his words led to an insurrection of the U.S. Capitol that had people hurt, that had police officers hurt and could have had members of Congress held as hostage. Somebody got to pay. There needs to be a trial in some way, shape, or form. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to be impeached, but I think that you cannot let that stand, because I'm going to play devil's advocate. If it happened in the last days of Barack Obama and Republicans were controlling the Senate, you best believe that there would have been an impeachment trial. And you and I both know, Dennis, and this is not negative, if you leave the Senate could have had this impeachment trial before Donald Trump even left office, right? Because they got a U.S. Supreme Court justice sworn in 8 days after she was appointed. 8 days, which is unheard of. But they didn't have enough time to do an impeachment trial. This has to happen. I don't think Biden wants it to happen. I think out of all the things that Biden wanted to do in his first 100 days, I don't think he wanted an impeachment. But you can't just let that stand. And there's going to be a local flavor to this too, Amanda. Bruce Castor, the former district attorney of Montgomery County, is going to be the lead attorney for the president in fighting the impeachment. So I think there's a good likelihood that enough Republicans will stay with the president, that he won't be impeached. But I don't think you can let something like this go. You got to deal with the impeachment.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and Vince, the way I see it is the Department of Justice, in its role under the executive branch, they can pursue an investigation and they can press charges. And there's also a court system. I mean, Donald Trump can be criminally charged. So to me, I just what I'm concerned about is that no matter how much people hate Donald Trump, okay, impeachment can't just be used contrary to the Constitution as a weapon, against somebody who is effectively now a private citizen. So I think that there are other ways that Donald Trump can be held accountable, and that's the path I'd rather see it take. And again, I think that there's other factors here that we need to move forward with the new administration's agenda, and I think whatever bridges can be built with Congress people on the other side, and with the Trump supporters out there, I think it needs to happen. And I don't know that taking this particular tack is going to be the best way to do it, particularly when you look at the fact that as a practical matter, you need 2/3 to convict in the Senate. So that would mean when there's 50 Republican senators, well, there's 50 Democratic senators and there's 50 Republican senators. You would need 17 Republicans to turn around and convict Donald Trump.
And that's not going to happen. We can agree.
It's not going to happen. And in fact, they voted on a resolution recently where they tried to dismiss this whole matter, and 45 Republicans voted to dismiss the matter. Now that meant that 5 did say no, we do need to have an impeachment trial in the Senate. But still, when you're looking at votes, we're not even close to the votes.
All right, fellas, we're gonna have to
I'm just not sure if that's really going to benefit the country overall.
All right, Dennis and Vincent, I thank you guys for this healthy conversation, because it's always good to just talk it out and just see the different views, because sometimes you're like, you know what? I see your point of view. So I thank you guys for taking time out to sit and talk with us today, with having a healthy conversation. And we thank you guys for watching another episode of PhillyCAM Voices. You can also watch us on YouTube and Roku, and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And we'll see you guys next time.